Welcome to HyBiz Conversations. My name is Suresh Kochata. They say businessmen are born, businessmen are made, and sometimes business is thrust upon people. But there are some people who come from small towns and work their way up. Hard work, perseverance, dedication, and all the more. Narendra Nambula, or Naren as he is popularly known as, runs Life Span Pvt Ltd, a nutraceutical organization that has its factory on the outskirts of Hyderabad in the Genome Valley. But how did he start? How did he reach the place that he's right now? And that makes a very, very interesting story. A story that many entrepreneurs would like to hear, many startups would like to listen to, because there are points here in which he will talk about how he succeeded despite many shortcomings. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Naren. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Naren, let me start by asking you, you come from a very small town and then you migrated later to a big city like Hyderabad. So my first question to you would be, can you take us through your early days, please?
Yeah, I have done my schooling from a place called Produttur from Kadapa district. Basically, I am very keen on sports and games. I used to play cricket, football, volleyball. I was a very good sprinter as well, like 100 meters, 200 meters and long jump. So my entire schooling, more I was into sports and games, less into education.
So that's very interesting because most of the people believe that education is one of the footsteps to successful entrepreneurship or being a businessman. But we have seen cases like, I just want to quote Dhirubhai Ambani and people like that who never had a formal education but definitely built it up. But I think that sports part which you spoke about and the fact that your dad was a very, very strict disciplinarian actually set your discipline from the early days. Can you just talk us through your dad, because he seemed to have a big influence on your life?
Basically, we are a sports people, I would say. My entire family is into sports. My father used to wake us up by morning 4 a.m. and he used to see us that we be on ground by 5 a.m. So me and my brother used to play cricket and football, and we used to be on the ground by 5 a.m. and we used to play for about 2 hours in the morning, and then we used to go to school. After coming from the school also, like after 4 o'clock, we used to spend another 2 hours on the ground. So that's how my father was very, very encouraging in terms of sports. He was always used to believe one thing, that once you are disciplined and hard work, you can achieve anything in your life. Basically, my father himself is very, very disciplined, highly disciplined and very strict when it comes to punctuality.
So I think that one of the first lessons in your life you must have learned from him, because discipline, perseverance, dedication, these are all things that come through sports. I mean, when you play a game like cricket, for example, which I think you're very good at, there are certain things like teamwork. There is a captain, there is a vice captain, there is a wicket keeper. Everybody has their roles in it. So you're grounding from the early days in terms of being a sports person. What are the main things that sport taught you that you brought into business?
See, sport itself is a big lesson for anybody, that I would feel. Initially, when I started heading the team, school team at the age of 12 and 13, in fact, I've represented for state cricket team, and I was the district level captain as well. So I learned a lot of things while managing the teams, how to manage the teams, what are the skill set that is required when you manage the teams. Okay, so these are one of the things which I really helped me to today to set up a lifespan.
For example, I'll take one example, Naren, from here, and that would be very obviously bouncing back, because not everybody wins a game. There are games which you lose, there are games which you win, but at the end of the day, it's all about bouncing back. And I keep quoting this example again and again in my interviews about the Israeli Commando Force. When you want to get recruited for the Israeli Commando Force, which is supposed to be the best in the world, they have only one condition: you should have failed once in your life, either personally or professionally. So in your case, when you look at yourself and when you look at the fact that you had a lot of passion on sports, you are not really keen on academics as such, but then you made it in life. But the point is perseverance, dedication, and all these points which you brought in, these played a very, very important role, because I think after doing your MBA, you were actually not working for some time, you didn't get a campus placement. Can you just take us through those journey, please?
If you ask me, initially when I was playing cricket, you need to have a lot of patience, because every game you don't win. That's how life is, right? So I have developed a lot of patience by when I was like 12 and 13 years itself. So today when I was setting up the unit, it's not so easy because initially if you ask me, it's a startup company for me, setting up a nutraceutical plant because I'm not from any science background. So setting up a plant, setting up the manufacturing unit, machineries, working with third-party vendors, contractors, there's a lot of things involved in this. So I think the patience, the leadership qualities, everything has come up from the sports background.
So that brings me to the fact that you finished your academics by topping it up with an MBA. Of course, you have a public relations and other things also to add. You're a lawyer, qualified lawyer. So the question is, after MBA, what did you do?
It's a very interesting question actually. After my MBA, I was almost free for 6 to 8 months. I've not got any job. Whereas if you see, most of my friends has placed in good companies across Hyderabad. But I was the one who was left out without any job. Then luckily I got an opportunity to work as a trainee from a company called HyBiz Consulting, which is one of the best HR outsourcing firm in India today. So the day I met my boss, Mr. G.R. Reddy, he said one thing, Naren, you will not be paid for 6 months. You need to learn. Then I was really surprised when he said this. I didn't understand why he said that. Then he told me one thing, Naren, this is the age that you need to learn. This is the age that you need to perform and implement things. Money is a byproduct. That really worked out for me well. So I really believe in it. What he said, initially I could not get it, but today if you see, yes, that really worked out for me.
Naren, one of the things all of us are very, very proud of is the first salary that we get. I remember the first salary which I got way back in 1986. It was a very princely salary, 486 rupees. But I think, everybody does something with the first salary. And what did you do with your first salary?
If I have to compare my first salary with my colleagues, my friends who got the placement those days, like I was getting very, very less. Like if you see, some of my friends got 25,000 as an initial pay, but whereas after 6 months I've been paid 3,000. So that has really given me the importance of the financials in my life. The day I got 3,000, I just went out and bought a sari for my mother, and I had a passion for the watches, especially blue watches. So I bought one of the fossil watch, which I still have with me.
You're not a businessman. Your family doesn't have a grounding in business. Typical middle-class Indian family. But you decided to set up India's first, or now what is considered one of the biggest nutraceutical companies, Life Span Pvt Ltd. How did you start? Where did you start? When, for example, I heard even you traveled to Delhi, you met some people, you spoke to a lot of people before to understand how this business works. So where did this germ of the idea, where was it born?
See, basically my father is a government servant, so he always used to push me towards getting into some government job initially. But later on, since I didn't have much of interest and I want to be very independent in my life, then when I was doing small businesses across country, initially I saw a lot of opportunities in nutrition products. I'm talking about way back 2007, 2008. So in fact, I was not financially strong at that time. But that was there in my mind that one day I should start one of the best nutraceutical plant in India. So that actually took me long 10 years to establish this. I started going around places like countries, like been to Dubai, been to Europe countries, to make a research and analysis of these products, like especially nutrition, especially ayurvedic products. So a lot of research that I have done. It took for me almost 2 to 3 years to do the research work. Then I had to come back to Hyderabad and I had to set up the unit here.
Passion, commitment, and definitely, of course, you did your research. The point is, there must have been some people along the way who influenced you. And I remember reading somewhere there were two very, very important people whom you credited your early days and your turnaround to speak of. So can you speak us through that?
Yeah, initially my first job, I've joined with HyBiz Consulting as a trainee. I worked for a couple of years with G.R. Reddy, and I've really learned a lot of skills from him. Especially when it comes to HR, how to deal with the people, how to manage the teams. That's one thing which I learned from him. Apart from that, how to manage your finances. That is very, very important when you start your business. So GR is very, very good at that. So these are things which I picked up from GR in the initial days. Then later on, I worked with Mr. Sridhar Reddy, who heads the control as one of the biggest data centers in the world today. That was pretty good experience with him.
Then you also went to Delhi, and I think there also you met a few people who influenced you in this business, isn't it?
Yeah, after going to Delhi, I was like stressed out with a lot of businesses and getting into education, getting into products, nutrition, a lot of other media. I was also into media. Then I met one of the IAS officer, Mr. Shiv Prasad, who has really taught me what is life. So he always tell me you need to be grounded, you need to be very spiritual. So that's how it really helped me. Delhi being a very new place to me, I never been out of Andhra Pradesh for that matter, but it really helped me a lot going around.
So now let's come back to Life Span Pvt Ltd, your baby. How did you start by setting up this factory? Did you have the usual issues where every entrepreneur has money, land, talent, all this come into play when you set up a unit? It doesn't just come on a platter like that. You must have had a lot of struggle in the initial days. So can you let us know, how did you manage all this?
See, initially I was searching for a land across India. I've been to places like Himachal, Uttarakhand, Andhra Pradesh, a lot of places I've seen. But later on, what my research, in my research, it was that Telangana would be the right place to establish Nutraceutical plant because of various reasons, the government support that is there, especially the KTR, the minister, and Jayesh Ranjanji. So these people have really motivated me to set up a plant in Hyderabad. Initially, yes, of course, I had a lot of problems, but getting the land was not an issue for us. Getting a land was very, very easy here. But when the construction has started, because I was very new to the civil construction, so I had to work a lot on setting up the industry there. Then you have a lot of issues like dealing with the machinery, dealing with the plant, dealing with the construction, dealing with the third party, a lot of third party vendors that you have to deal. So these are the challenges which I faced. Apart from that, basically fundraising is one more very, very important, because when I have made the budget for the plant was much lesser than what I built today. So it took time for me to raise the funds. Very luckily, State Finance Corporation has supported us in the right time. I would really thank State Finance Corporation for being with us and supported at the right time, and we could able to finish the project in the right time. That's about 2 years we took to finish the product production today.
Why nutraceutical? I mean, this is a question that I always have. Hyderabad is known for its pharmaceutical industries, but nutraceutical, as especially herbal, ayurvedic, the traditional way that we go about it. Why into that? Because did you feel that there was a gap that was existing and you wanted to fill that gap and you wanted to start making products?
See, I always believe in preventive care. That's what why I have set up Lifespan is when I understood that preventive care is very important today in the country. If you see India, the people in India lacks a lot of nutrition. So I felt every Indian should become healthier. So preventive care is one of the major thing. If you see before COVID, there are hardly we used to get calls anything about products like ashwagandha, products like Brahmi, Shilajit, Moringa. But today, after COVID, people have realized the importance of immunity, realized the importance of nutrition. So they started talking about, we get everyday calls, do you have Moringa, do you have ashwagandha with you? So, I mean, of course, Chawanprash. So these are the things which is very much required for daily routine food. We should thank our Honorable Prime Minister as well, who is also promoting our Ayurvedic products.
I think for many people, COVID was a disaster, but I think a few industries actually saw COVID as an opportunity. I think Life Span Pvt Ltd also, and especially your team saw an opportunity in that, and they really worked hard to ensure that our citizens across the country develop a kind of at least a soft immunity towards the particular pandemic that we have today. But more importantly, Naren, this fact that when you start a nutraceutical company, you need a good talented team, especially the R&D team is extremely crucial. I think you now have a 25-member R&D team. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but how did you get about that? How did you start recruiting? Because you yourself are not a scientist, not a science background. So how did you go about getting these talented people to work for you? How did you inspire confidence in them to join you?
It was one more challenge that I faced initially because I am not from an R&D background. So I'm very good at managing teams and people. That's what I was telling you, which has helped me because of the sports. So what I have done is I have recruited the best scientists in the country. We have 4 divisions which we have divided. Like we have separate scientist department for nutraceuticals. We have separate department in R&D for herbals and ayurvedic. We have a separate department for personal care products, and also we have developed a new team now for nutrition food grade products. So we have around 20-25 plus currently R&D team. They are excellent.
Your plant, the most modern plant that you can really call it that way, located in the Genome Valley of Hyderabad towards the north part of Hyderabad near Shamirpet, is built according to the US FDA standards. It has all the requirements that is required to make products like this. How do you ensure that you keep up to the momentum? It's easy building a unit, but keeping that quality day after day after day, and especially when you have inspectors coming in to check your plant to see whether you're actually following the standard, which are surprise checks. How do you ensure that the standards are maintained? How do you motivate the team to do it?
See, generally any plant standard is being recognized based on the certificates that they have. Today, if you see, we have certification like WHO GMP. We have been kosher certificate has come to us. We have been certified by OISH department. There are so many government agencies that have certified us. So very good thing is we have been registered under US FDA now. That is one more challenge which we had initially, but we are very lucky to get registration US FDA currently.
I believe I read somewhere, or I've seen you talking about this, that most of the people who joined you at the junior level also, they have grown on to become independent leaders of their own. Some of them have gone on to become the CEOs, become directors and all that. That is a big reassuring fact, because loyalty is not something this industry is known for. At least in India, people jump jobs very often. They look at shortcuts to success. But as a businessman, how did you manage to retain this team? What are the motivational things that you worked on?
As I earlier said, that I am very good at managing the people. So that is one thing which really helped me to grow my team to be independent. Any person joins, any executive joins in my team, like even a trainee, I see them to take the independent responsibility. We actually give the decision making to them. So that's how people grow. If you see people who are working from last 10 years with me, joined as executives, and now today you can see them as heading the departments.
So when we talk of business, because in business what happens quite often, there are setbacks. Not that every day you will win the game. And again, bringing back you to the game of cricket, you were a vice captain, you were a captain, and you know the strengths and weaknesses of each player who comes into the team. Not everybody is same. Because there's a very strong correlation between success in the field of sport and being a successful businessman. How did you manage a unit like this? Because when you started, you didn't have that expertise for it. But I think slowly along the way, you developed that expertise, and today you are at the pinnacle of it. You just moved into a new office, a very swank one in Hyderabad. So my question to you obviously would be, for the entrepreneurs who are watching this particular program, is what kind of work goes into making an organization successful? What are the tips to do it?
I feel that you need to have focused in your career. The vision should be very clear. With that, along with it, you need to have the perseverance, which I was always been telling. So, and hard working. If you are working hard, definitely you will see the results one day. That is what my belief is.
Some people tell me, I mean, these are people who mentored you in the earlier days, and I read from them that one of the unique things that you have is the ability to take risk. Not many people do it. Very people, especially those who are not from a business background, they are not with a rich father or a rich father-in-law, even a rich grandfather. They don't have anything to lose. But for somebody who come up the hard way, you had an ability to take risk. Where did you develop that appetite for?
I think the risk factor which I've developed is from my school days. Because I've been playing cricket, hockey. So hockey is one of the dangerous sport, what I feel always. Okay, but still have taken a risk of playing the games. You never know where the ball hits, how the ball hits, right? So we face a lot of challenges at that age. So these all made me to become very strong today to manage a company like Life Span.
Mr. Naren, you did speak a bit earlier about the fact that India has a major problem of nutrition. I worked in the healthcare sector for 10 years. I can tell you that step up 40 kilometers out of Hyderabad and you can see one is poverty, and of course you will see mothers, pregnant mothers who really don't eat well. You see different states in the country. For example, education is a very important thing. So a state like Kerala has health parameters including maternal mortality and infant mortality which is equal to the European countries or even the best of the world countries. But then there are states like Bihar and UP and Madhya Pradesh which drag the numbers down. Even Telangana is no better. But in terms of the products that you develop, I mean, I know that this is meant for a certain class of audience, a certain set of people. But where do you think, what is the bane for India when you look at it as not as a businessman, but as a professional who wants to actually help the poor women, the women in the rural areas who don't have that kind of income to buy products? Where do you think lies the problem? I mean, this kind of nutrition products, these are basically add-ons to what they already have. But the problem is we eat more of rice, we are diabetic because of that, and we don't eat much of vegetables. Again, that is a major issue. So how do you bridge this gap?
See, basically, as you said rightly, if you say take 70% of the people are below middle class people in the country today. So we have two segments with us. One is premium segment and we have a super premium segment products. So we will cater all these products in different areas, like let's say the metro cities like Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, we have a super premium segment. When it comes to Bihar, Jharkhand, Ranchi, these kind of places, we have lesser range of products.
So the products are basically priced at different price points, and that's what you're saying, that exactly. You have price points which people can afford, and then there are price points which people who can afford will pay for it and buy it. Exactly. That's what you're saying. Exactly. Naren, also I wish to bring people onto the fact that he's not just a businessman, he loves nature, and I've seen him spend videos of him with his daughters going around, planting saplings and taking them on walks and jogging with them, which is, my question to you would be, is where did this love for nature come in? Because as a businessman, usually people don't have time, people don't have the wherewithal to do it, but you seem to be finding time for it. How did you step into the fact that nature is important?
See, it's always there in my mind. Nature, health is one of the prime factors which I believe in. So if you see, even my house, if you come and see, you will have a lot of plantations, the entire house. So that is there with me from the day one. So it's a combination what I feel, nutrition with nature goes well.
So the question is, you set up the Field Foundation, which is basically taking back things which you learned, because you strongly believe that one has to give back to the society. Business is not about making money. Business is also about giving back to the society. Can you take us through the activities that your foundation does in various parts of the state and other parts of the country also?
I have founded Field Foundation in the year 2014. Basically, the idea was always to give back to the society. So we have initially started with the blood donation camps across the country. Later on, we have expanded to walk, jog and run programs, a couple of other programs like eye donation camps which we have done. We have also done programs like food camps basically. Especially when it comes to COVID times, we have done a lot of food programs across India.
So this foundation which it does, which all states do you operate in?
As of now, we are operating almost all the states, especially in West Bengal and North and Northeast.
Now, as I said before, as a businessman, you're always attuned to the fact that if your products, your people, profits, everything. But at the end of the day, when you look back and say 30 years from now, or maybe 40 years from now, when you look back and say, I want to be remembered for this particular aspect, what is it, those things that you want to be remembered as?
See, if you ask me, I wanted to make India as a healthier nation. That was my dream.
So that was Mr. Naren, who comes from a small town, who succeeded in life and definitely made it big in the world of business. But I would like to ask, by closing this particular discussion, by asking him, when you look at the world of business today, and when you look at icons like Ratan Tata, Dhirubhai Ambani and all that, do you ever think, or did you ever imagine that you would be today heading an organization with such a huge field force, such a rich R&D scientist? Did you ever think of these things?
Frankly not. I never thought of setting up such a big unit in my life, but the dream and vision was very clear that one day I need to set up, but I've never expected that I'll set up so early in this age. So thanks to all the people who supported me in this journey in my life, I could able to achieve what I really dreamt of.
That was, ladies and gentlemen, Narendra Nambula, a man who came up from the ordinary and definitely worked his way up to set up an organization that he's justifiably proud of. There are lessons for entrepreneurs, as I said. There are lessons for budding businessmen who want to be here. But also lessons for many people who think the world of business is only for those who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Not necessarily. Everybody can be a businessman. It's only the size and the scale that matters. And definitely, what Naren has shown is that you can succeed despite all the handicap that you may have. And what is important is a vision, is a perseverance, is a determination, and of course, the ability to take risk. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Mr. Naren, for joining us.
Thank you so much.